Okay, this is some of the basics. When you're talking to the mic, you want to make sure that you speak clearly. And no, we can't do anything about the Texas drawl that we all have or have all developed one way along the line, but at least try to speak as clearly as you can. You should talk across the microphone, not directly into it. And you need to adjust your mic gain for your voice. And from my perspective, it seems like the factory settings have generally worked pretty well. When do you speak? When you're on a net, you speak only when you have to, and then you want to keep it short. Most important thing when you're using a two-way radio is listening and not talking. If someone seems to be in control of things, listen to them, and that'll be your net control operator. Controlled net is where somebody takes control of takes command of the control and manage what is going on, and that's what we always announce at the beginning of our nets on Monday night, is that it's a controlled net. Now, the folks that put the presentation together said that you should use a controlled net when more than 4 folks are on the air. I would think that you would want to put a qualifier on this, that if you have some kind of response situation going on, then you would want to have the net. And of course, it mentions there always use a controlled net in the response situation. The controlled net enables the person that's in charge to prioritize the resource request, to hopefully quickly handle multiple situations, and to record what happens. Anyone can be a control station, but only one at a time. The net control operator's job is to maintain radio discipline by setting a good example, prioritizing messages and requests. The net control needs to track what's going on, write down everything that happens, and report that to the emergency response team coordinator or the incident commander. It is important to write things down, and this is for the net control operator, because it's likely you won't remember everything that in your head. Things get exciting. So if it gets real busy, you're not going to remember everything, nor can you effectively brief the incident commander from memory or accurately reconstruct what happened some days later. Controls log, you need to write down the names of staff or officials for whom you send messages. Make a line entry for each item that's on the log. That's necessary in case a person wanders off before you get the reply, or you need to get more information for a message, and helps eliminate duplicate requests for the same resources or information. Should list it in chronological order, who has a problem, or information, situation updates, and tasks assigned is listed up there. Problem identification, progress of evacuation, resources that are available, and personnel safety or accountability. All information that should be put into the log. As a volunteer, that's all the rest of us that are participating. And it's usually an occasional radio user. It's important that we participate in the training exercises, which are the Monday night nets that we do. Learn and use the correct procedure. It's important to listen to the radio all the time, pay attention to the instructions, and be brief when you do get on the radio. Participating in a controlled net, you respond only to control, and you need to get permission before contacting anyone. You answer promptly, including the control. Monitor the radio continuously, answer immediately if called. And don't leave the air, don't leave your radio without checking out, especially on a net or like a bike ride or one of the other public service things that we get involved with. Otherwise, control is going to waste time trying to call or locate you when you're not there. Use of tactical call signs. This is another thing we do quite a bit during bike rides. It's usually identified by a location or assignment, such as here the example was stairwell 10, a vac chair, and in bike rides it's always whatever the rest stop number is. And this enables control to manage resources or tasks without regard to who is at a location, so that events can be logged easily. Use your ID consistently and contact control or others by their tactical call sign, and of course you need to listen for yours. When you're going to call somebody, you need to listen shortly and make sure you're not going to interfere with any radio traffic in progress. Contract control by saying control, this is, and give your tactical call sign and say over. Control acknowledges with a go ahead, and then you speak, please keep it brief again. And again, bicycle rides are great practice. Then when control acknowledges, rest stop, whatever, go ahead, and then you can speak. Calling another station, you need to get permission from net control first, and then you would say the ID of the person you want to call, and then say this is, followed by your ID or tactical call sign, and then over. And of course the example would be P2 garage, this is P2 north elevator, over. When you're not acknowledging calls, when you hear your call sign, you reply this is rest stop number 4, and then tell the other unit calling you it's okay to proceed with their message by saying go ahead. And good radio practice, operating practice, the ABCs are accuracy, brevity, and clarity. Idle chatter is no place on the net. Should establish initial contact with control by stating your ID only, and then wait for control to recognize you before transmitting any further. Think before you speak. Make sure you have a good idea what it is that you're going to say. Stop transmitting if you stop talking. Release the push to talk, otherwise you make dead airspace so nobody can talk over the repeater. And don't call repeatedly. If net control doesn't answer, you wait for pending traffic to finish before you try again. And if this is truly urgent, then you can disregard that and do call repeatedly until you get a response. You should wait a few seconds before pushing to talk between phrases so that others could break in if necessary. And it is okay to interrupt if you have important information. And when necessary to interrupt, say speak only long enough to identify and say why. Example would be North Team Leader info. I don't know, we talk about this a lot. No 10 codes or jargon, and use plain language only. You avoid jargon or technical terminology unless it's really necessary, and use short, simple phrases. Helps the listener who is recording the log. You clarify, repeat critical information, and confirm it's correct. Wait for acknowledgement before speaking. Don't want to take up airtime with a long transmission until you are certain that you have other operators' attention. Acknowledge transmissions to you. Avoids people having to repeat a message. Answer questions directly. Do not explain. If amplifying information is vital to ensure that traffic is fully understood, should be brief. Let control or the requester ask for details. Ask for a message is for ask who a message is for if you don't know, and let third parties speak directly to each other. Wait a fraction of a second after pushing the talk button and before speaking. I know somebody commented about that earlier in our training, and it's pretty common that on the net that you'll hear just the 5 and then the last part of somebody's call sign. So it's too easy to push the talk and then start rattling off on whatever. But you do need to pause for just about a second or so that everybody gets to hear the full call sign or whatever it is that you're saying. If you're in a noisy environment, it doesn't help you to speak louder. If you do speak louder, if you speak louder than is needed for normal speech, the radio will distort your voice and reducing the intelligibility. And every once in a while you hear somebody on the radio that does speak pretty loud. In a noisy environment, you can use earphones or a headset to try to cut down the noise that you're hearing. Turn down your volume. Don't add to the noise level if you're not using a headset. You should, if you're in the wind, you need to shield your microphone. And again, speak across the microphone. In most cases, other than like Wayne was saying, that some of the little handy talkers, you need to speak right into it, into the radio itself. If you got the remote mic, then you would speak across that. Pro words help expedite radio messages, and we're going to go over some of the pro words here right now. This is used to identify who is calling. Over means you have finished speaking and it's now turn for the other person. Go ahead means that you're ready to copy or listen to what the other person has to say. Out means that you are finished and you expect no reply. Over leaves no doubt whose turn it is. Out tells everybody the contact has ended. But using over and out together is not necessary. Copy means okay, you received and understood the message. Affirmative or negative instead of yes or no, because its sound is distinctive and the meaning is clear even in noisy operating conditions. Say again, used to request a word or phrase be repeated from the last known word preceding or reference. For example, say again all after. And this is pretty helpful when you're passing traffic, because you'll be reading out a message and somebody's hopefully scribbling away furiously at the other end of the radio, and then if he doesn't get it all, then he'll ask you to say again all after, particular word in your message. Correction means I made an error and am transmitting again from after the last word. You ask for correct, and correct affirmative, saying you are correct. Wait, means cease transmission until told to go ahead by the control. And again, this is pretty specific to message handling. When you get into a awkward word, you can say I spell, and then before you start spelling it out phonetically. And then when you come to a number, you'll say figures and then give the number. Initial is a single letter that follows. Mixed group contains numbers and letters. And it's important, especially when you're passing traffic, to speak slowly and distinctly so that the other person can write down the message correctly. And then finally, we're looking at ITU phonetics. But if you stick to the ITU phonetics, why everybody knows to, that's what to expect. So, but they're there for a good reason, and sometimes it's fine to use the other phonetics. But all the nets that you'll be on, you need to stick with the ITU phonetics.